Okay, perfect. So I just started recording. Welcome to the Vidcode 101 webinar. I'm really excited to be introducing Vidcode to all of you today. I have my computer set up, as well as I'm talking on my phone in case there are like any audio issues. We have backup. We learned from the last one, and I think we're good to go. So just to give everyone kind of an overview on Vidcode, I know some of you have used it before. Some of you are in schools that have partnered with Vidcode this year. Some of you are brand new. So I'll start with kind of an overview. We're still admitting a few people in. Cool. So Vidcode is a creative coding platform really designed with student creativity and student interests in mind. We have over 300 hours of curriculum that's been research-backed, tutorials, assignments, really focused on like connecting things students love with code. Students can code Snapchat filters, video games, meme makers, chatbots, sneaker, button, bots, anything that they can think of, anything that they want to make, any media or assets that they want to use, they can bring into the Vidcode editor, the Vidcode coding platform, and like make those. We have students that pull from like the tutorials available on Vidcode to be able to really customize their portfolios and make things based on their interests and the things they want to make. So that's a brief overview just before we dive into the platform. And I kind of show you everything and do more of a walkthrough. So our mission, Vidcode's mission, has always been to create an accessible and engaging way for all students to learn computer programming and to connect with code. And that mission includes students beyond students who are already interested in coding or technology. We want to reach students that maybe didn't already have those interests, and through the curriculum, through the platform, be able to show students how coding connects to the things that they care about. Yeah, Allie, did you want to jump in there at all?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining. I know we have some new teachers, some schools we've been working with, and some schools who are obviously launching with us this fall. So appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with us. You know, I think Leanne put, you know, our mission out there, which is great. And yeah, our goal for this call is to really support your implementation, share a bit about the background of the curriculum and how to get started really easily. So I think we can just get started. We covered the mission well.
Cool. Yeah, some stats. We've reached over 9 million students so far, and most of our teachers have zero coding experience at all. So that's some information about us. And our curriculum that you're going to see in a minute is really focused on student impact, so student problem solving, student creativity, as well as like learning outcomes, student mindset, identity, and confidence. So that's what we're thinking about as we work on our curriculum and our platform. And the goal of this webinar is really to show you like how to set up a Vidcode classroom, what Vidcode will look like through the school day, how you can monitor your students' progress, how you can see their projects. We'll touch on things like grading, and we'll also be able to answer any of your questions as well. So let me go ahead and start to share my screen. Cool. Welcome. This is Vidcode's homepage. Many of you have been here already if you've gone ahead and made accounts. Anyone who doesn't have an account yet, you can go ahead and make one by just coming here and signing up as an educator. And from there, you'll be able to go into all the material that I'm showing you today. So to start, I'm just going to go ahead and actually jump into the gallery to show you examples of things students and teachers have made before going into the platform and the actual course. So I mentioned this briefly, but on the Vidcode platform, students can record their own videos, like bring in their own media, bring in their own graphics or things that they find online. And that is really gives us the ability to, and gives students the ability to make things that to them. Students will complete the same tutorial, learn the same things, have the same level of competency and learning outcomes, and have completely different portfolios, which is really exciting. So examples of student projects include things like this rainbow mirror. It's going to pop up with my face in a second. Hello. This is something that students could make in the first unit of Vidcode course. They do things like create variables, and the tutorials walk them through how to customize those and be able to customize objects like these boxes, this text, and these graphics. As students move forward, they are introduced to things like loops and arrays and start to make projects like this. So you can see here, there's a lot of the same elements that were in the first project. Students setting variables, students customizing them. So we've added things like arrays to hold colors, and we've added loops and conditionals to animate the graphics in and to animate this like rainbow filter in the background. As students go through, they'll also make things like this video game that I'm going to try and play while holding my phone. Let's see. So something like this builds on everything that I was able to show you already, but includes things like objects and interactivity from the user. Well, and this is an exciting one as well. So this is a project that's like a simulation of different phases of matter. So in this one, it takes the idea of JavaScript objects and interactivity, but takes it a step further and gives me these sliders that I can use to actually see how my matter would change based on temperature and pressure. So that is an overview of what you'll be making or what your students will be making. It doesn't all have to make sense now. The tutorials start with absolutely no knowledge of your students having coded before and really build up to those sorts of projects that I just showed. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my classes here. My classes is where you're going to be able to manage your class dashboard. These are all of my classes for the year. For this webinar, I'm just going to go ahead and make a brand new class. With your accounts, whether you're all free users or whether you're with one of our partner schools this year, you can have as many classes as you want. They're just a way for you to be able to organize your students. So for here, I'm going to go ahead and select new class. And I'm just going to call it Vidcode 101. Or I guess classes. I'm just going to go ahead and call it Vidcode 101. I have two options as to what I can do here. Or this cross-curricular coding kit. I'm usually going to want to go with creative coding. This is really the course. This is what students are using to get introduced to Vidcode. This is going to have the most introductory activities in it, and it's really designed to be done in order to learn JavaScript and to learn computer programming concepts. Cross-curricular coding kit is really going to be for more one-off activities. All of our hour of code tutorials are in there, our coding sandbox is in there, and some other activities that are sometimes used for like one-day events or hackathons, things like that. So right now I'm going to start with creative coding assigned. Cool. So here I have my class created. I have two options here. The first thing I can do is start coding. That will put me into the student experience. So I'll be able to see the course as though I was a student and explore the activities as though I was a student. If I go into add students, that'll bring me to my class dashboard. And you can see that it turns into the class dashboard once I've added students. And from there, that's where I can do all the things I mentioned before, where I can do progress. That's also where my lesson plans live. So just to start from here, I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Coding, and then we'll kind of circle back to the dashboard. On the left, I'm going to have all of my levels here. Each level or unit covers a different computer science or computer programming concept. The first one is just going to be an intro. It's going to introduce variables and properties. From there, we go into arrays and have all these projects to get used to arrays. There's a lot about randomness in here. From there, I'm going to go on to loops and animations. You'll often get in the first project as students learn about graphics and setting graphics. How do I make it move? With level 3. And then in 4, we get into conditionals, which is like if else, kind of making the computer think and make decisions. In 5, we get into interactivity. So anything where there's a user input, being able to type, being able to click, being able to move my mouse around. And then we get into algorithms, including different kinds of loops. So we get into more advanced loops, while loops, for loops, and when you use each one. In 7, we get into string manipulation, which means that we build off of the interactivity of level 5 and really start to work with text from the user, from the player. And 8 really brings it all together and starts to take everything that the students learned and have them start to make these different video games, including like Tamagotchi style pets, cross the road games, jumping games, and then an open-ended game where a student can make whatever they want. So just to go back to level 1 really quick. All the units or levels are really broken up the same way. There are tutorials that are going to walk students through different coding concepts, different projects. There are also challenges. So challenges can be fun. Challenges go beyond tutorials and ask students to fix broken code or to recreate a project, solve something. Each level is also going to have assessments. So quizzes that students can take that you have access to the results of. So you can see how they're doing, how they're understanding the material. Each one also has a larger final project. These include handouts to help them plan their projects so they can spend a bit more time on them, think a bit more deeply about them. Every final project takes place in an open coding sandbox, so students can kind of do whatever they want, which is kind of fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start the very first tutorial here just by clicking Start. Every project is really going to be set up in the same way. I'm going to have my instructions over on the left here, my coding editor in the middle, my final project on the right, and then my media gallery here on the bottom. videos if I want. I can also add my own graphics and add my own sound as well. Or work with the sample media that's already on Vidcode. On the left in the instructions, I'm going to have text that appears like this. Vocab is going to be in bold. And anything that I have to do, any actions or challenges, are going to be in this like bold purple text. So here it's asking me to click next. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm prompted to select a video. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here and select this, let's see, this butterfly. And it's pretty cool. The very first thing that happens is that my video appears and the code that makes it appear appears in my code editor. So anytime I want to do something, I can always use the Vidcode interface, but I can also actually type things in. So let's say I want to switch to a dinosaur. I can check the dinosaur name down here and type that directly into my code editor. And it's going to change and appear in my video. And that's going to be true throughout. Students are going to be able to use the code editor to customize their projects, but there's always going to be help from Vidcode. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And I finally, on step 3, get my intro to JavaScript, get kind of an explanation of what's going on here, what I'm writing. You can see that the vocab is in bold, like I mentioned before. And it starts to give me a context for what JavaScript is used for and how programming languages work. So once I kind of read that and understand it, I'm going to click next again. And these buttons start to appear in my code. So I have this invert button here. I'm going to go ahead and drag this in. And a line of code is going to appear right away. So this is JavaScript. I can delete it, I can change it. Every time I drag in one of these lines of code, it's going to turn into another line of JavaScript that I can edit. This first project, this first tutorial, is really here to get your students used to the Vidcode code editor, find features like this cool color picker, start to play around. A lot of students who come to the Vidcode code editor have only had experience with things like Scratch before. So we're really trying to take that experience of drag and drop programming and bring it into and build a bridge into a JavaScript editor. If I decide that I don't like a line of code, I can just go ahead and delete it, and my video will turn back. And if I make a mistake, I have an error appear on that line that'll help guide me to where my bug is, and I can fix it. So I'm going to go ahead and add some noise, see what that looks like. I don't like that, it's a little bit too much. I'm going to make it a little bit later. The other thing that the tutorial is going to introduce me to, this very first one, is the idea of sequencing. And that the order my code is read in and run makes a difference. So I can do things like take color invert here, and I'm going to go ahead and copy it and paste it under the rest of my code. And you can see that my project looks totally different because when invert happens, it's happening at a different time. So all the colors in my video are getting switched after applying tint and vignette and noise, not before. And it makes a totally different project. So those are kind of the initial things that this first tutorial starts to go through and touch on. It also goes through things like arguments, which is just the name for all these colors and numbers getting passed into these functions. Once I'm done with my project, once I like how my dinosaur looks, I can go ahead and publish it. If class is over and I'm still working on it, I would go ahead and press save. And then it'll save to my portfolio, it'll save to my dashboard, and I can go back next class period and keep working on it. But for now, I think this final looks pretty good. So I'm just going to click publish. I'm going to call it Vidcode 101. And then I'm going to view my project. So this is what the student sees once they publish a project. If they want to embed it anywhere, they can use this code. And if they want to share it to a Google Classroom, if that's something that you use, they can submit it to that as well. So you're going to have access to this project from your class dashboard. And you'll see that when we go over that area as well. So as a student, maybe at this point, I share my project with the class or my partner. I have a chance to talk about it. I have a chance to talk about my code and some of the decisions I made. And then when I'm done with that, I can go ahead and go back to course. And it picks up right where I left off. So we can see that I have a check mark next to the project I just completed. And there's a start button next to the next challenge that comes up. So I'm going to pause here before I jump into the dashboard and just see if anyone has any questions. See if there's anything in the chat. So Carla asked if we run maintenance. We don't run anything that should make the program get glitchy. So Carla, I'll follow up with you after the webinar to see what's going on and how we can help you fix it. Write myself a note to do that. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions about the coding editor, the course that I just kind of went over? Cool. Well, no problem. Feel free to keep asking questions throughout. And I'm going to go ahead and jump back into sharing my screen and show you all the dashboard. Oh, cool. So Hope asked, are the projects only visible to the instructor and wherever the students share/embed? So 2 answers. 1, yes. 2, we take your students' privacy very seriously. So even if students do share or embed their projects, their usernames or names, if they sign into something like Google, they're never attached to those projects. So even if a student does share the project out publicly, their name isn't attached to it. Cool. So to get back to my class dashboard, I'm going to go click my classes here. For anyone who has just started a class and not added any students yet, your class dashboard is going to look like this. So if you click Add Student, you're going to get this roster of sample students. You know, they're sample students because their last name is Demo, and they're in this purple color. As soon as you add students, those demo students are going to go away. So you don't have to worry about those. They're just there to show you what the dashboard and what the roster would look like if you had a class of active students. So that if you're doing research before deciding to use this in your classroom, you'll have access to that. I'm actually going to go back really quick. I'm not going to use Vidcode 101. I'm going to jump into a class that has some active students in it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Class Dashboard in my Period 5 Creative Coding class. And you can see that I have a full roster here. My demo students are here. I don't want them to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and filter them out. And now I only have my active students. From here, I'm able to see their progress. So I'm able to see where they're at in the course. I can see if anyone's falling behind. The way the color coding works is that the color is green if the student has completed something, yellow if they've started it but not submitted a project, and gray if the project hasn't started yet. As students go through the course, every level they complete, they're going to earn certificates that they can download or print out to show off what they're learning as they go through the course. And every single level has one of these. So I'm able to go through and really see my students' progress with every level as I go through the course. I'm also able to see the projects that they work on that are associated with these different activities. I'm going to go ahead and click projects here. And I'm able to see projects broken up by activity and by level. If I only want to see projects for what level we're doing today in class, I'm able to filter them up here. So from here, I'm able to choose a project. Let's say I am looking at Sam's projects today. I can go ahead and open this up. And see my students' work, as well as the code that was used to make it happen. The other thing I can do from here is see my students' quizzes. So like I said before, every single level, every single unit has a quiz associated with it. So I can see here that one of my students kind of jumped ahead. Oh, it looks like I lost some people. Let me let someone in. So I can see here that one of my students jumped ahead, and maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe they don't really know the material yet. I'm also able to go into my students' quiz results and see what they got right and what they got wrong compared to the correct answers. From here, I'm also able to get lesson plans for each of these activities. This is probably one of the best parts. There's lesson plans available for everything I'm going to be doing with my students. So here, I'm going to go into a creative filter. Every single tutorial is going to have a big idea. And it's also going to be standards aligned to the CFT standards, as well as the NDSS standards. There's a time breakdown for each one. So the amount of time I would spend as a teacher introducing a concept, talking about what we'll be doing today. There's also often additional resources that teachers can use to expand on different concepts. And sometimes, let me actually show you, make a meme. Sometimes there will be things like activities where students can do things off the computer to learn different concepts. The other really cool thing in the lesson plan is that every single tutorial has a sample solution associated with it. So here, I can go ahead and open this sample solution. And this shows me what the activity might look like. So I can use this before class, before students start coding, if I want to show them an example. I can use it while grading if I'm trying to have like an example project out to compare my students' code to. And I can also use it to help debugging. So if I'm debugging a project, if a student really can't figure something out, if I'm not sure where the syntax is off, I can go ahead and open a sample solution. And from here, I can kind of compare my students' code with this code and be like, all right, I can see that I have my text here, and this also says my text. Your variable says my text, but line 9 says my text 1, and that doesn't line up. That could be why your code is broken. So that's one example of how the sample solutions can help. The other thing that's in the lesson plans are these sharing prompts. So these are great these are going to be different for every single activity, and they give students different prompts to talk about their code, talk about their different projects, some decisions they made, and this can be really helpful because it gives students a chance to use the vocabulary that they're learning on the computer in real life, off the computer, to start to talk about their code with other people, and it really helps them like learn the vocabulary and the concepts. The other thing that's in each of the lesson plans are these reflection questions. Oftentimes, students will answer these also with a partner, or they'll have notebooks that they use throughout the course to reflect on their code and really like have a log of their programming journey. The last thing I want to show you here, oh, and if you are using Coding Kit, I know we talked about that in the beginning, to get to those lesson plans, you just go ahead and use this drop down here, click Coding Kit, and then those lesson plans appear. So that can be a little bit tricky, but that's how you get to all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back to creative coding. Cool. So the other thing I want to show you really quick is just the student showcase. This is an awesome place where I can make a showcase of my students' work. I can use this to give students recommendations on other students' projects to look at and give feedback on. I can also use this if I want to just show off what I'm doing and what my students are doing to either other teachers in my school or to parents. And what I said before about student sharing, that's true for the showcase as well. So your students' names are never going to be publicly available on the showcase. If I want to add a project to the showcase, I'm just going to go into projects here. Choose a project I really like. I am going to choose the project I said before, the Doge project. So I just click these three dots right under it, add it to showcase, and I know it's in my showcase because it gets this little star next to it on the top. So from here, I'm going to go back into my showcase. I can see that my new project's been added. If I want to share it with anyone, I just give them this link. I can copy it and share it out. I'm going to go ahead and open it. Cool. And so there's this awesome public gallery of my students' work that I can share out. The last thing in here that I'm able to do is just edit my class. So if I ever want to change the name of my class, I can do it here. And if I want to archive a class, if I'm like, I don't need this anymore, it's a new semester, I can do that here as well. Cool. So that is Vidcode 101. That's the tour. So I would love to take this time to go ahead and answer any questions that came up during this. As well as, just answer any questions and maybe show you anything in the platform that I may have missed that you're interested in seeing. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and share those in the chat. I'll write something to make it pop up for anyone who just joined. Cool. Oh, one other thing that I wanted to show everyone. So as you go through the course and as you use this with your students, our team is here to chat with you live. So you can go ahead and talk to us with this chat bubble here. And just go ahead and start a new conversation. We're here to help you get started. We're here to help you with any curriculum questions and any of that. So we try and get back to you as soon as possible. This is only available to teachers, not students. Yes, yeah. So everyone who signed up on Eventbrite is going to get a link to the YouTube video. All right, awesome. So if that's all, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. But it was so great to meet with you all and work with you today. And I posted the Calendly link, but I'll send that out as well. And I sent out the link to the YouTube video. And yeah, just reach out to that if you kind of want a one-on-one meeting to go over any of this stuff and any of that. So let's, yeah, it was so nice to meet all of you today. And I hope you end up using Vidcode with your students in the future. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, too. And just quick ask. This is a new kind of webinar series for us. We want to make it really useful for you guys and other educators. Either feel free to put in the chat or to email us at leandra@vidcode.com or ali@vidcode.com. And we really appreciate your guys' time today. Happy coding.